Okay, so here's the Imperial Guard Force. As you can see, I've got the Chimera. Not all of the weapons on everything that you'll see here are correct. Like they're not all modeled exactly the right way, but they're pretty close. This is my veteran squad here. I've got 2 Melta-Guns, a Flamer, the Sergeant. The Sergeant, for example, has a Power Fist, but I don't have a Sergeant Power Fist model right now. Here's the Stormtroopers. I actually reduced their number down to 5 instead of 6, and I gave the Sergeant a power weapon. So you've got the Flamer and the Melta-Gun here. And then here's the 2 Armored Sentinels with the autocannons. Over here in the Space Marines, here's the 5-man assault squad. Of course, most of them are missing arms right now because I'm rebuilding them all. They've got 1 Flamer in there. Here's the land speeder with 2 heavy bolters. Here's the 6-man tactical squad with the sergeant, and there's 1 Flamer in there. And here's their Razorback. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a table with some terrain in that, and we'll get started on the movement phase. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go over kind of the reasons why I got all the different things in both armies. Over here, I've got these 2 Melta-Guns because I know that if they bring any vehicles to the fight, the Melta-Guns are really good at taking out vehicles. In a pinch, it could help me take out a Marine or 2 in 1 turn, which is quite a few points. For example, one of these guards, a veteran is about 7 points, a Space Marine is about 16, so it's a good amount of points to take out. The Flamer can hit multiple enemies, so I've got him in there just to kind of hit a bunch of them, do a lot more damage than just a lasgun would. The Sergeant's got the Power Fist because it increases his strength and it removes the save, and the Space Marines have a really good save. The Chimera has the multi-laser and the heavy bolter. I got the multi-laser because it's a high strength weapon. If they bring any vehicles, it'll be easy for me to hit them, and it will be easier to hurt the Space Marines. I only need a 2+ to wound them. Both of these weapons get 3 shots each, so I'll kind of be spraying out a lot of fire there. These 2 guys have autocannons. If I need to, I can try to lock up one of his units in combat with the Sentinels. Since they are a walker, they have an armor value, but they can still fight in close combat. They're going to be most useful, though, shooting the autocannons at any vehicles the opponent might have. Stormtroopers here, their main weapon, the hotshot lasgun, can actually go right through the Space Marine armor, so that's definitely a good reason to consider including them. I've got a Flamer just to hit a lot of enemies, try to get a wound or 2 in there. And I've got a Melta-Gun in case I need to take out any vehicles or kill a Space Marine. And he's got the power weapon in case I do get in combat. I can ignore their save. As far as the Space Marines are concerned, the Space Marines know that their basic weapon, the bolter, the basic weapon of the bolter will go straight through most, if not, well, almost all Imperial armor. It'll go right through a guardsman or a veteran without any problem. And even against these vehicles, they have armor 10 on the side and rear, so the Space Marines aren't too worried about loading up on the anti-armor weapons. The heavy bolters on the Razorback and on the Landspeeder can actually penetrate the side armor on a roll of 6 and glance it on a 5. So they didn't really need to take any anti-armor weapons for this game, because they know they're not fighting anything like Layman Russes and that. Plus, most of their troops and their fast attack have crack grenades, which I'll go into later. They both have a Flamer in each squad, because Flamers ignore cover. So if my veterans are hiding in some cover to get me a better save, because the bolters will beat my normal armor save, Flamers will just destroy that. A good Flamer shot can easily take out 5 or 10 guys, especially weak guys like guardsmen or veterans. I didn't take any special weapons for the commanders in these squads because taking something like a power weapon is going to be pretty much useless against things like guardsmen and veterans that have a a crappy 5+ save to begin with. So, and if you notice, it's kind of the Imperial Guard play more of a defensive game most of the time, while the Space Marines can play a much more aggressive list. Land Speeder's highly mobile. These guys here move 12 inches a turn, and they want to get into combat, which is where Guardsmen, the Imperial Guard, really lack. And the Space Marines, just the tactical Marines, can be really good at sitting back and shooting. They can be really good at moving up and rapid firing the opponent, and they're also really good in close combat. So they've got this Razorback to transport them, so they can get up there and get in combat where I am the weakest. So that's kind of why each of the armies are set up the way they are. Okay, here's the terrain. If you take a look at the table here, in the center there's some ruins. Over there we've got kind of like a little paint canister forest, and over here we got kind of a little paint canister forest. In this corner we've got a little bit of debris, and we got some debris in this corner. Just to make things simple, we're going to say this centerpiece, everything on here is area terrain. So if you're anywhere in this square of the ruins, you get a 4+ cover save. If you're shooting through it to somebody on the other side, then you won't get a cover save unless the ruins actually block your line of sight. I know none of this makes sense now, but it will be important later. We'll say these paint canisters and the debris are 5+ cover, so if you're inside of them, you get 5+ cover saves. If you're not inside of them and you're behind them, then you only get cover if they block line of sight, which we'll get to in the shooting phase. So we're going to go ahead and roll. A typical game, you'll roll to see what mission it is. To keep things simple, we're just going to play this as Annihilation, which is kill points. Which is basically you just try to kill all of your opponent. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a green die here for the Imperial Guard, and a yellow die for the Space Marines. Here's the Imperial Guard's roll, by the way. A tie. So let's roll the Imperial Guard again. Another 3 in the Space Marines. Another 3. Okay. Imperial Guard again. A 6. And the Space Marines another 3. So the Imperial Guard won the roll-off. What this means is that they get to now choose. Since the mission's already determined, we're just going to do standard pitched battle deployment. There's different deployments you can roll too, but we're just going to keep it simple for now and do pitched battle. So now the Imperial Guard won the roll-off, so they get to choose whether they go first or second. There's various reasons to choose going first or second, but the main thing to start off with is that if you go first, you deploy first, your opponent will deploy, and then you'll have the first turn. If you choose second, then your opponent will deploy, you'll deploy after them, and then they'll go first. Some of the reasons you'd want to go second, maybe you want the enemy to get closer to you so you have you can get more shots off, or maybe you want to see how they deploy to counter to deploy based on how they deployed. There's all sorts of reasons why you might want to go second. In kill points, a lot of times people will go first just to get some more shots off. It all depends though. In standard pitched battle, you're going to measure off 12 inches on either side. So in this case, 12 inches is basically a little bit before the edge of these ruins. But we're not going to do a full 12 inches because of the size of the table. It's a little bit smaller than it would usually be, so we're just going to do 10 inches. And usually just kind of mark off some spots across the table, so you have a general idea of where everything is, where the deployment zones are. Okay, so you see here, these 3 dice kind of mark off this side's deployment zone, and those 3 dice mark off that side's deployment zone. These sides are practically identical for this game, so the Imperial Guard are just going to choose this side over here. Doesn't really make a difference either way in this particular game.